How would you describe the police investigation into John O'Keefe's death?
You kind of learn 101 about collecting evidence. 101 about collecting evidence. First and foremost, the house. If I was in that house, I know that house would have been stormed.
I recall them grabbing each other. They were playing a little grab ass with each other. I did see them grab each other.
Are you saying that they grabbed each other's asses?
I'm saying grab ass.
What raised questions for you about the police investigation?
The foreman on Karen Reed's jury in the second trial has yet to reveal his name, but he did do another interview. Let's see what he has to say.
Juror 1, who is the foreman, probably the hardest person to read on the whole jury. He's a black man.
Really? How can you tell?
Like a black man. Dreadlocks, like wears a chain and shit, wore a hoodie.
That was Turtle Boy's analysis before the jury foreman started to speak publicly. His assumptions, along with our court stenographer's depiction, are very accurate, although unfortunately it turns out this young brother is not Jamaican.
First and foremost, the house. If I was in that house, I know that house would have been stormed.
Those of you that did not grow up with a black parent like myself may not understand what he's saying, but I'll translate for you. He's claiming that if a dead body was found on his lawn, the cops would raid his house with 2 seconds, warrant or not, just because he's black.
First and foremost, like no one went into the house.
You explained that in your mind, there was no probable cause to seek a search warrant for the interior of the home. Is that right?
Yes.
But you did know the following. In the initial moments, you were aware that John O'Keefe had been invited to a party inside a home, correct?
Yes.
You knew that that home was located at 34 Fairview.
Yes.
You also knew that John O'Keefe arrived at 34 Fairview, correct?
We believe so, yes.
You also knew at the time that he had been partying with the individuals who were inside the home, correct?
They were at a bar previous to that, yes.
You're aware that a drinking glass was found in the yard adjacent to where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found.
Yes.
That drinking glass had been broken, correct?
Yes.
You're aware that drinking glasses are commonly found inside homes, right?
As well as bars.
If you find a broken glass on somebody's yard in a situation like this, did that seem out of place to you?
They were coming from a bar. It didn't seem totally out of place, no.
I know the town's full of Irish drunks. However, if there's a broken glass next to a dead body, you must, at a minimal, assume it could have come from someone in the house who hit him with it.
At the time that you found the broken glass, would you rationally think, well, maybe the rest of this glass is inside the residence?
That's the only thing you should think. Not, this is Massachusetts, everyone's an Irish drunk. And I know that there are a few people that are Irish that aren't drunks, but he's saying basically they all are. They're so drunk they bring glasses home with them. So when they're found dead on the lawn, you just assume that it came from a bar and not the house.
No.
You did not think that?
No, there was a reason that I didn't think that.
Did you ever go inside the house to search for the other part of the glass?
Nah, why would you do that?
Absolutely not.
Because you made up your mind initially where that glass came from.
No.
You just said you did. You said it came from a bar.
Did you search the house for any other matching glasses?
Nah.
No.
Matter of fact, you didn't search the house for any physical items, did you?
Of course not.
You also know that he was found without a coat on.
Yes.
Are coats normally worn outside or inside?
It's user's choice.
18 degrees, you would expect that if someone was outside, they'd have a coat on, correct?
I'm the kind of person that wears shorts throughout the year. I'll often go without a jacket.
Listen to that smugness. A woman's life is on the line. That could be your wife, your daughter, the woman you're having an affair with on your wife. And you would trust this man to do a thorough investigation? This is an embarrassment to the entire state of Massachusetts.
Someone's laying on someone's lawn, but no one goes in the house.
Is that because that house belonged to a Boston police officer?
No, it's because it requires probable cause, as you know, which we did not have.
Probable cause is so low. Is it reasonable to think that someone in the house struck the man who's dead in the front lawn with a glass that's lying right next to him?
Or at least you didn't think you had at that time.
We knew we didn't have it.
Did you seek it from a judge?
I'm familiar with what probable cause is.
The question is, did you seek it from a judge? And we get this snide answer.
It just doesn't make sense in large part. That was just one hole amongst many holes that we had to sift through.
How would you describe the police investigation into John O'Keefe's death?
Thorough, by the book, diligent, amazing.
No justice in a certain aspect. I would say lazy police work. There's certain things that you kind of learn 101 about collecting evidence. 101 about collecting evidence.
Yep, we took 6 blood samples, yes.
Okay, and how were you able to sort of collect the blood samples on scene?
101 about collecting evidence.
Well, the blood samples, because they were frozen, we debated on how to collect it. We didn't think swabbing was going to be easy to do if it was frozen. So we decided
Why is he being so evasive with this answer? The question was simple. How'd you collect the blood samples?
on finding some type of temporary plastic evidence container. We were able to find large cups, and we took 6 samples. We bagged the 6 samples, and Sergeant Lang transported them back to Canton Police Headquarters.
Temporary evidence containers to collect that blood, correct?
Yep, we utilized cups, plastic cups.
Those were red Solo cups, right?
That's correct.
Red Solo cups?
The same kind of red Solo cup you'd drink beer out of at a barbecue?
Yeah, sure, you could.
There's nothing special about the red Solo cup?
Hey, there's everything special about a red Solo cup. Beer pong, Beirut, chugging, keggers. There's even a goddamn song made about it. Don't you dare speak bad about the red Solo cup.
Other than their plastic, nothing's
And they can safely transport blood in a murder trial. There's nothing the red Solo cup can't do.
special.
You didn't go back to Canton PD to get actual evidence containers, correct?
We wouldn't have temporary plastic containers that what we were looking for. We're looking to take samples of snow. We wouldn't have had, I know for a fact we did not have those. If we needed bags, needle containers, things of that nature, we're all set. But as far as plastic containers
But as far as containers that hold evidence, we don't got them.
that we wanted to utilize, we didn't have them.
Hey, Dopey, how about ordering them? I have not confirmed this, but I don't think one crime has ever been solved in Canton, Massachusetts.
Do you have any glass containers?
No.
So Canton PD does not have or utilize evidence collection containers that are plastic?
We have needle containers that are plastic. We have blood swabs that are in plastic containers. But for what we wanted to take a sample, we did not have.
Making sure no one's near the crime scene. How you do when you talk to witnesses, all the things 101, they was all done lazy. How do you have interviews with all the people all at once that's supposed to be suspects?
We know Matt McCabe, along with his wife Jen, and the Alberts that were at the house were all interviewed together and not separated. And then subsequently, they were on a group text chain for which they could collaborate and make sure they got their story straight.
Did you say that you went inside Fairview at maybe around 7 a.m.? Is that a good estimate?
Yeah, I don't know the exact time, but it would say, give or take, could be a little before, a little after, but somewhere in that vicinity.
He's referring to the morning of January 29th when all 4 witnesses went back to the house.
And I believe you testified that the only people inside that you saw there were your wife, Brian Albert, and Nicole Albert, in addition to Officer
At that moment, that's who I recall seeing there.
And Officer Lank was the only police official that you saw inside, correct?
At that moment, correct.
You had a group text chat going with your wife, Jennifer McCabe, your brother-in-law, Brian Albert, and your sister-in-law, Nicole Albert, correct?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
I'm showing you a document, sir, and if you look up or look at it by yourself and look up at me when you're done.
Whenever you see an adverse witness act as if they can't read a document that is shown to them, it is a clear indicator of deception. A lot of times you'll see that they struggle to read, or they can't see, or there's not enough light. When you hand it a document, relax and read it. You can see it perfectly fine.
I don't use glasses, but I can't see this. So maybe I need glasses. I'm making it out. I got it. Is it a light?
No, he says he doesn't.
No, it's
wear
not. It's just dark, but I got it.
Doc. Oh, the drama. And you see this a lot with people that are about to tell you something that's not true.
What the hell? Who is that?
If you're struggling,
I'm reading mine, right? The middle one?
Yeah. You take all your time, the time.
Yeah, I got it.
This was a bit weird and forced by Karen's team. Matt McCabe referenced the house that's located next to 34 Fairview as the Asian house because Asians owned it. Knowing that there are a few Asians on the jury, Karen's team questioned his use of the word Asian, but anyone that's ever married an Oriental knows they don't care if you refer to them as Asians because they're Asian.
Yes.
They were the next door neighbors to your brother-in-law and sister-in-law?
Correct.
Did you know their last name was the Chungs?
I had no idea that I've never met them. I don't know their last names. I just knew it was an Asian family next door.
You didn't feel the need to ask their names or try to call them by their names.
I've never met them. Sorry.
Objections sustained. You know what, Ms. Giannetti, let's come to sidebar.
Yeah, and I am going to have a side bah with my tyrant of a producer putting in those sound effects, knowing that I lost half of my money to my ex-wife.
No one was separated. It was all done in one group. That alone leaves so many speculations and everything. It was nothing to grasp on.
Do you believe there was any collision?
No, I believe Kara Reed is not guilty.
Did it put extra pressure on you being the foreman?
When I first received the...
And I don't think he wanted the job either. Like, when he took the job, she had to be like, "You're the foreman, right?" He's like, "Huh?"
That's because most of us Jamaicans already have 3 jobs. That was Turtle Boy explaining how this juror didn't even realize he was the foreman. Courts have the discretion to either have the group vote on who the foreman is, or they can simply assign one. And apparently Auntie Bev assigns the foreman job to whoever is sitting in the first seat, which just happened to be his.
Message, at first I was like, okay, let me see. But then when I got in the room and all the evidence there, I was like, whoa, okay, now I got to orchestrate this. It was truly a group effort, and we all trusted each other. We could call it a friendship in which we had amongst each other, in which we understood what was going on in the grand scheme of things.
How did you approach this case?
Well, I approached it like how any juror should be approaching it, walking in there understanding this is supposed to be an innocent person, and now the prosecution has to prove the charges, and the prosecution didn't prove the charges.
And right there is exactly what you want a juror to do. Right after law school, I got a notice for jury duty. I went, and I heard an attorney ask an amazing question that shocked me at the time. He asked one of the jurors, if you have to vote right now, what would your verdict be? And in my mind, I was thinking, well, we didn't hear any of the evidence yet, so we have to wait. And that's exactly what she said. But in reality, he said the answer has to be not guilty. Because no evidence is presented yet, the defendant is presumed not guilty. And that always stuck with me.
Well, aha moment, like, wow, they're reaching. And which was when they talked about the holes on the back of the hoodie.
Here's a hole, here's a hole, here's a hole.
Did you ever consider whether there were holes in Mr. O'Keefe's sweatshirt other than the right element?
Well, I know that there was cutting.
Take a look at the bench. You see other holes on the back of Mr. O'Keefe's sweatshirt?
It appears I see one hole.
Let me get a little closer so you can get a better look. I'll direct you to here, here, here.
Here's a hole, here's a hole, here's a hole.
Here, here. Do you see more than one hole in the back of Mr. O'Keefe's sweatshirt?
Yes.
Here's a hole.
Your Honor, the defense moves for a mistrial with prejudice based upon intentional misconduct that just occurred before the court and for the jury. Those holes in the back of the hoodie sweatshirt are clearly, unequivocally, without doubt, caused nothing to do with any type of event on or about January 29, 2020. The cuts that the criminalist made to the back of the hoodie are specified. The Commonwealth has no case. They have no collision. They are desperate and are trying to create evidence of specters of collision where the evidence doesn't support it.
And looking at the hoodie, it appears that I made a mistake. There should be a stipulation. The parties agree the holes were made by a crime lab technician. This was done inadvertently but should not have been asked. And you should instruct the jury they are to completely disregard any questions or answers about the holes in the back of the sweatshirt.
And everything. And then they had to point back and bring us back in and tell us, no, those was holes that was made by the forensic person. And it was like, oh, again, more holes that we have to sift through.
Here's a hole, here's a hole, here's a hole.
And try to figure out.
My Jamaican mom used to tell me to never trust somebody. I just can't remember that last part. She always said, never trust. Maybe I can think of it before the end of this video.
More games that's being played.
What evidence stood out regarding driving under the influence?
Well, her own testimony. That's what really kind of what solidified it. We looked at 3 different clips, and then we counted all the drinks at the 2 bars and everything.
The defense insisted on adding that additional charge of DUI. The thought process was that the jury would be more likely to come to a conclusion on the major charges if they found they're guilty on something, the DUI. It doesn't sound like they would have, but for them actually putting this charge in there.
If she sipped, if John sipped, all these different things, Did they share, whatever? I say we went over the videos twice, counted the drinks. This is the only thing that's solid.
When you just started deliberations, were you leaning one way or the other?
When I entered deliberation rooms, I still was leaning, she's innocent, let me hear from everybody else.
And thank God for this young brother's open mind with regard to the evidence. The defense's strategy in the second trial paid off. If there was no collision, there is no crime. No collision, no crime. And based upon what the foreman has said, it really did work.
I got it.